would be if we all open our eyes to see. He is all that we need right now, and we can all come together somewhere, somehow. His door is open, no matter who you are. Just take the first step, you'll see it's not so far. Down the
So we will now take the second speaker, who is Dr. Bala, another seasoned journalist, if you like. And the same way, we'll urge him to condense the message, but make it very clear to everybody. He is going to speak to us for another, I'm sure, for another 30 minutes or so. And then we get to the last speaker, inshallah. Dr. Bala Muhammad, you are welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My distinguished Amir and distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My brother has, for those who don't know, my relationship with the two gentlemen who have spoken now, the chairman was my national Amir during my time as in the university. And then the previous speaker, Professor Adam Ahmad, was my institutional Amir. He was my Amir at BUK. So I always kowtow, as they say. I always give my respects to my seniors. I'm very happy to be in this group, share to all of us, and may Allah accept it as a part of his part of our ibadah. Thank you very much to MSS for making this platform possible. Yesterday, I told Sheikh, the moderator, our junior, the others are my juniors, but these two, I always say these are my seniors. To share my screen and see if, inshallah, it will look like. But Professor Ahmad has given everything you want to know about our predicament today. If I were asked to speak about the theme of the conference, I wouldn't have been done better as a journalist. So Alhamdulillah, may Allah saka our Professor Adam Ahmad Al-Heri, and he has always been like that. This is what was expected from him. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. I have a few slides to take us through. I can see it myself. I will continue to try to see if it can be shared. But my topic is as follows: and Islamic ethical values in the media, which means I will be looking at my slides, unfortunately, and not at you. Oh, okay. I think I've got it. I think I have got it. Mr. Chairman, if you can see it, can you please tell me if you can see it?
Yes. Yes,
very good. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Yes. So balancing between prostitution and Islamic values in the media. And my first task is to what is prostitution. Most of our friends who are journalists don't understand prostitution. We all know prostitution, but we don't know prostitution. We know a prostitute, what she does for money. So now a new term has been explained, who has the same characteristics of a prostitute. If you give money, I'm not good for anybody. So if you understand what I mean by prostitute, so prostitute is the media equivalent of that one. So this is a journalist or media source whose news coverage is considered to be inappropriately influenced. Interest. Part of the prostitution includes claims by the industry and trumpeted by the corporate prostitute media. Now, the media which are guided by ideology, and there are media that are guided by pecuniary. So these are all prostitutes because people set up their media to do their bidding, to do what they think is best for them. So now, this is what prostitute means. So let's go to ethical journalism. Ethical journalism. Journalistic ethics and standards comprise principles and good practice applicable journalism. The basics and canons is by professional journalism associations. Every television station, every radio station, every organization will have what journalists, what media, and what we cannot do. This is a book of ethics. Then they will have a book of style. A book of style is what
I think we have lost Dr. Bala again.
Yes, sir. His network is pretty poor.
Yeah, and the audio is equally not good. There's a lot of echo around.
Serious network problem, but I will continue. I'm now joining with my handset as well. I am joining also with my handset. Just in case you can hear,
we'll continue with the handset. I will mute one. I will mute one here, and then inshallah, as we continue, I will continue using two sources. This is a live.
I will mute one here.
So the basic.
So the basic codes and canons commonly appear in statements.
We still have some noise from background. Host, please try to control that.
I think the issue is he's using two sources simultaneously.
Yes.
So we are having echo.
I'm trying to mute myself.
No, I'm trying to mute myself.
It is I don't know what the term they call it. So in journalism also, we sometimes if we know you to be very Rika, for instance, we won't send you to cover Izala. If that is so that at least you will not give. If you can go and give a fair assessment. So if you send Izala journalist to cover Maulud, the first paragraph will. Hello. The first paragraph will be the Prophet did not do Maulud. And you are sent to cover Maulud. So just cover Maulud fairly and independently. So these are political affiliations, personal information, etc. They should be declared. So if I'm a Ahlul Sunnah journalist and you send me to cover Maulud, I will tell my editor, please, I don't believe in Maulud. I cannot cover it. You understand what I'm saying? Number three is fairness and impartiality. Fairness and impartiality. Most stories have at least two sides. While there is no obligation to present every piece, story should be balanced and add context. Objectivity is not always possible and may not always be desirable in the face of example of brutality and inhumanity. If one is brutal, you have to say they are. You can't say you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. So number 4 is humanity. Journalists should do no harm. Most likely people remember that journalist who snapped a starving child in, I think, Southern Sudan or Ethiopia during the 70s. Carter, his name was Carter. He snapped the child where a vulture was waiting for the child to die so that she can eat the carcass. Most people say that the journalist had no humanity. The first thing she should have done is to drive away the vulture. The second one is to take the child to a feeding center or something. So humanity is very, very important. And number 5 is accountability. Accountability is a sure sign of professionalism and responsible journalism. And it is its ability to hold ourselves accountable. Now, when we commit errors, we must correct them, and our expressions of regret must be sincere and not cynical. That's why in newspapers you see what is called corrigendum. That is correction to what we did wrong. So if you call my name wrongly, and I say, I don't spell my name Mohammed, I spell it Muhammad, you should have the decorum to come back and say, oh, okay, we are sorry we call you Muhammad, but you are Muhammad. When we commit errors, we must correct them. So we may not change what readers write or say, but we will always provide remedies when we are unfair. These are the 5 core principles of journalism. Now, al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min. Now, Islam is a wonderful religion. It gives you a chance not to reinvent the wheel. If you see the hikmatu dalatul mu'min, if we had no al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min, we would have not taken the aircraft or aeroplane to Mecca, for instance. Somebody created it, and so if you are Boko Haram, for instance, you say, a kafir did aircraft, so Muslims should not take it to go to Mecca. You know, that's how Metazine began. That is the beginning of Boko Haram. That you can't wear a wristwatch, you can't wear, you can't ride a bicycle. Even a bicycle is written, the sirdi is hamo, the tire is mim, the other tire is something like that. So that is dogmatism. Islam says, al-hikmah dalatul mu'min. If you see hikmah, take it, it is yours. So truth and accuracy, independence, fairness and impartiality, humanity, and accountability. Inshallah, if you get the slides, you'll see that. So finally, I will look, what is the balance? Then I will take, after the balance, I will now go to the Islamic ethics, which were developed 40 years ago. 40 years ago in Jakarta, Indonesia. Now, the balance between ethical Islamic journalism and prostitution is a very, very delicate one. Delicate in the sense that, you see, if you are not paid, you know, there was one scholar who said recently, no, a few years ago, he said he understands the corruption of civil servants. If you are paid 1/4 of your needs, so he allows that you can take another quarter or 2 quarters to fulfill, that is in corrupt way, to fulfill the gap or the deficit in your salary. Of course, this is a Shazi view. This is a minority view of Islam. And the speaker is on his own. But he makes sense. Now you employ journalists, you don't pay them a salary, you send them to a beat. A beat is where you cover a certain ministry, a certain government. And they are tempted by what is called brown envelope. Now, brown envelope is a gift to a journalist or a bribe to induce that journalist to write the story in such a way that it will be favorable to the subject of the story. Not fair, but favorable. If it is fair, it's fine. It could be favorable. But if it is not fair, then it is not. It is unfair. So, any journalism organization, any medium, any media establishment that does not pay its journalists well, it has a problem because they will collect brown envelope. Daily Trust has this message almost every second day. It's called "No Thank You," and it says, "Our journalists do not receive brown envelope, and the police do not try to bribe them." That's what they write essentially. So don't attempt to bribe our journalists because we live by our ethics. So the next few slides are Islamic Media Charter. What is Islamic Media Charter? This was adopted at the first International Islamic Mass Media Conference, which took place 40 years ago. Listen to that. 99% of the participants of this forum were not born when Muslim journalists came to Indonesia, Jakarta, and they established this Islamic Media Charter. I like it because at that time, there was no social media. There was no influence of satellite. If you remember, satellite came around 1976-77. First World Cup was in 1974, which was seen by satellite. So the journalism at that time was ancient. And so they looked at Islam, they looked at the mass media, the traditional mass media at that time. So that's why I like that Islamic Media Charter, because it does not consider what is going to happen in the future. So it has been developed over time, but we always teach our students this as well as the new developments in the charter. So it's called Islamic Media Charter, which was part of the Jakarta Declaration. It was first International Islamic Mass Media Conference. In their preamble, they said, in keeping with our belief in Allah and Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and in implementation of Islamic Sharia, and in complete awareness of the imminent dangers besetting the Muslim Ummah and impeding its religious reawakening, and in appreciation of the important role of the various forms of mass media. As I told you at that time, when you say various forms of mass media, they mean television, newspaper, and radio. There was no internet, nothing. So they said, we workers in the Islamic media who are now gathered here at the first Islamic Mass Media Conference hereby endorse this charter for Islamic media. We solemnly pledge to conform to it and regard it as a torchlight for all our endeavors as a source of rights and obligations. Article 1, they have four articles on the charter. Consolidation of the faith of the Muslim individual in Islamic values and ethical principles. That every Muslim journalist should understand he is first a Muslim and he is trying to help the religion of Islam. That should be the basic. Every Muslim journalist, like Professor Adam was saying that he was not a journalist. Adam, you are a journalist and you will continue to be one. You trail the blaze in al-qalami and the pen. So you are a journalist, and Adamu read accounting. Muhammad Haruna read political science. Who else? Mahmoud Jega read zoology. So if Adam read history, that's closer to mass communication. So please, you will continue to be a journalist forever, even if you don't write a column every week. So that's what they say. All journalists, all writers all media workers should know that behind them, there is Islam. In front of them, there is Islam, left and right. That is Article 1. So they will work towards achieving integration of the Muslim individual's Islamic personality. And I will only read a few of the bullets of the articles so that you can read them later. Number 2, Article 2. Muslim media men should strive to unite the ranks of Muslims. We should be united and presented. So a Muslim journalist will not come to the media and start saying, Rika, so and so, Izala, so and so, Shia, so and so. The reason being that Westerners, non-Muslims, consider Muslims one. So if you come and divide your rank, and you say, for instance, what is happening in Lebanon? Lebanon, what did the French do? In Lebanon, the French said, okay, if you put Muslims together, Sunni and Shia, Muslims are majority. But if you divide Sunni and Shia, okay, so we say Maronite Christians are majority. So what they did in Lebanon is exactly what this Article 2 is saying. So they said, okay, now the president of Lebanon has to be a Christian because they are majority. Sunni Muslims are number 2. So they should take prime minister. Shia Muslims are number 3. So they should take speaker of the parliament. You see how they divide us and rule us. And then they will say, Druze. Druze is another Shia a fringe movement. Okay, they are another religious group. So that like that. So if Muslims cannot unite, you cannot. What is happening? You that will be the end of you without uniting. So Article 2 is saying we should try to unite the Muslims. We'll come home and fight here, but when we go in the international arena, we are together. That's what journalism is about. We'll say 1.7 billion. When we count 1.7 billion or 2 billion Muslims, we mean everybody, inclusive. So it's very important. Islamic media men should be committed to combating all forms of colonialism, aggression, fascism, and racism. So I've read 2 bullets out of 4. Article 3, Islamic media men should censor all material which is either broadcast or published in order to protect the Ummah from influences which are harmful to Islamic character. So just because a certain actress put a picture on Facebook, you as a Muslim, in trying to correct her, you don't republish the picture because you are now rebroadcasting. Those who have not seen it, you are now showing them. This is in Al-Ladina, where is our Hafiz? Abdul Hafiz, I hope you are Hafiz. Anti-Shi al-Fahishata. Somebody read that verse for me. So then you become Anti-Shi al-Fahishata, the people who broadcast scandal. So don't rebroadcast. Don't rebroadcast decency. You can talk about it, but don't rebroadcast it. I recently reprimanded a student of mine. He saw something on Instagram which looked like BB Niger. So he came to a group which I am there, and my daughter is also there. Well, like my daughter is in the group, her friends are in the group, and he brought all the titillating stories which he saw. And when he was trying to do wa'azi, that this is wrong, I reprimanded him. I said, look, if you want to do wa'azi, just do wa'azi without referring detail by detail of what was said. Because that is she al-Fa'ishata, kana kawo al-Fasha. So do not rebroadcast indecency. That is what essentially Article 3 is saying. Article 4, which is the last one, Islamic journalists must be committed to the propagation of da'wah. It's related to Article 1 that we all have to know that our life in Islam, it is our life, and whatever you get as a salary, whatever compensation you get, you should know that it is not compensation for, you should be doing it for the sake of Allah. And if you are doing it for the sake of Allah, you know very well that ultimately you will go back to him and you seek reward. So that's why, for instance, when I write my column, for instance, and people say it is too fundamental. I remember I was with MSSN-AZONE in Zaria when I wrote a second article about the kuffar who kidnapped Kano children. I wrote the first one, they published. In the first one, there was even a reaction from a kafir who was abusing me and abusing my religion. So I published it so that people will know their attitude. They will never apologize. And what they did was right. So the second one I wrote a rejoinder by Dr. Dukawa and many other brothers who are reacting to the first one. Wallahi, my newspaper couldn't publish it. Why? It is too fundamental. Too fundamental. Muhammad Isa, I told him, I shared the article with a few friends. It was not publishable because that's all. That's amma ya ƙara min zagi kuka buga sai ni da yanzu na so zan rama za a rama mun kuka ce ba za a buga ba. So irin magana kenan. Wai ai zai iya kawo tashin hankali zai na ci wancan ba zai kawo tashin hankali ba dan ni aka zada saboda ni gajeriyar kuka ne mai daɗin hawa. To haka fa rayuwar mutum. Idan ba ka da newspaper, ba ka da medium, ka gama yawo. Yanzu inyamurai suna da Sun, 'yan South suna da Vanguard da This Day, Yarbawa suna da Punch, suna da Nation. Mutane karfafa ne suke da su. Of course, muna da Daily Trust Leadership a arewa kenan ba wai musulma ba. Dama Adam ya ce ba wai musulma ba. Muna da Daily Trust, Blueprint, People's Daily and Leadership. Wata ta suma a cikinsu, wata ta farfado, haka dai ake tafiya. Amma ba mu da wata karfar jarida a da Daily Trust. Amma Daily Trust da nake wa aiki, ita ce ta tsoraci, ta yi tsoron ta buga wannan reaction din bayan an kare mana zagi. So ina fatan mutane suna gane abin da nake faɗa. Saboda haka Article 4 shi nake faɗa yanzu. So they should also be interested in Islamic history. The journalist da yake aiki as a Muslim, you should go back to Islamic history. Ya kamata ya san sira, ya san Ottoman Empire, ya san suwaye Umayyad, suwaye Abbasid. Saboda when he writes, he should be writing from a position of knowledge. Very, very important. Amma mutanen mu wato, unfortunately, in zan yi suka sai tuna a journalist as well as a teacher.
No, I say, remember you have combined this audience, so please maintain the English.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Oh, sometimes I forget to like. I completely forgot. I'm very sorry. Okay. So you should know the history of Islam, so that when you make a comment, when you make commentary, you should be making commentary like in such a way that yes, you know what you are doing. So it's very, very important. And they also said we should be committed to re-establishing the dominion of Sharia in lieu of man-made laws and principles. That is, we Muslims should always try to make sure that our hadaf, that is our hadaf, what we intended to do, is to get Sharia, is to get Allah to Allah's law to take over from man-made laws. That should be our hadaf. That should be what we strive for. Because if we don't succeed in that, what is our use? So don't be surprised that we should all know that one. And people will continue to abuse you if you write. People are saying, your writing is very unfair. The other time I wrote about, I can't remember, I think I got about 1 million abuses in my column. So I said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I looked up, I said, Ya Ubangiji, may this abuse be compensation for the little sins and the big ones that I do. because Allah, you know, I'm doing this for you, so please take it from me as my own contribution. So we should all strive. You know, people are afraid of doing things because they are what is it called? They are afraid of what will they say. Unfortunately, the other camp are not afraid of us, but we are afraid of them. Well, this is our problem. They are not afraid of us, but we are not afraid of them. But one important thing is that we don't have the media we can call our own, and that's the reason. So whatever I write, for instance, if my publishers are afraid to publish it, there is nothing I can do. There is nothing I can do. So in that situation, what do you do? So you have to take it as it comes. That is the reason. So this is the final thing.
So this is the final thing. It will echo a bit, just because I want to show you the articles. I'm echoing. This is these are the articles. Truth and accuracy.
It looks like
fairness, impartiality.
It looks like
I have to finish. Balance, Islamic Media Charter, the preamble at 1, Article 2.
Doctor. Hello, Doctor. Doctor, it seems the system doesn't want you to share the screen. There's a problem. There's a problem.
Yes, I understand that. So I will just give it to. I will send it now to Muhammad Isa by WhatsApp, and let him find a way of sharing it to
Inshallah,
everybody.
it will be shared. It will be shared. Everybody will get it. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. So that's the end of my presentation. Alhamdulillah.
Allah jazakumullah khair. Jazakumullah khair. To me, I'm getting. This is the first time I am listening to real media, what is media, and so on and so forth. So maybe I'm feeling now like every Muslim should be a media practitioner. So far, this is my feeling. But in any case, we go to the next presentation.
There is another question here that was sent in earlier, specifically addressed to Dr. Bala Mohammed. I don't know if he's still with us, but the question is if the media from the other side can throw back at us, and we are having it very difficult to throw back at them, what can we do as Muslims to effectively respond to this kind of challenges? So it's a question to Dr. Bala Mohammed. I don't know if he's with us so that he can answer it.
Dr. Bala.
Bala is not around, sir.
I am around.
Good.
Sorry, sir.
I'm around. Okay. Okay, please, Ashek, repeat the question, Ashek, please.
Question is, based on the presentation, we made to understand that our colleagues from the other side have been throwing back at us and we are finding it very difficult to show it back to them. So as an organized group, what can we do to effectively face this kind of challenges so that we can, do an eye for an eye?
Okay, assalamu alaikum, brothers. Also, we cannot do eye for an eye. If they have two eyes, we have one eye. Now, we don't even have the media to reply. I mentioned in my presentation how a supposedly Muslim newspaper could not publish a reply, which it found to be too strong for. So, can you hear me? Well, I already told the organizers that I will be traveling and I'm on the road. So,
yeah, well, but we can hear you. I hear you.
So now we don't have the. In Hausa we say, "In baki da gashin wanshi, you cannot do keep on wanshi." That is if. So we don't have the wherewithal in ownership of the media and in everything about what we do to be able to ensure that we can apply in lifetime. Okay, sorry, I'm at the airport somewhere. I have to continue to understand. Okay, so we don't have the media, neither broadcast nor print. And our yes, okay. So as I was saying, we have journalists, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of talent. But the talent is unutilized in the sense that most of us, we don't have where we can freely express our ideas. That is the problem we are facing now. And even if we have it, we are people who are afraid of the other side. And that other side, they are not afraid of us. And so this is a problem. My friend, Nadigan, please, excuse me, I've got online checking. So can somebody come here? I've got online. So what? I shouldn't be on the line.
It seems that
I've done online checking. Kindly come on.
Allow him to travel.
I think we should allow Bala to concentrate. I think he has, the message is clear. Let's allow him to listen. Let's see if there is any other question.
What a wonderful world this would be if we all open our eyes to see. He is all that we need right now, and we can all come together somewhere, somehow.